I have made a firm decision not to seek a fifth term. For the last 40 years, counting primaries, non-contested elections, runoffs, I have been on the ballot 25 times. In all but one instance, in 1987, I led the balloting and was successful in the runoff. As soon as the public had an opportunity to correct the error of '87, it did so by re-electing me for a fourth term. I have had the unique opportunity of serving the people of this state in all levels of government and in all branches of government, a record not achieved by any other person in the history of our country. In addition to that, I have been honored by being elected governor of this state 4 times, yet another record without parallel, and for that I am most grateful. During the 14 years I've served you as governor, we wrote a new constitution, the only state to do so in 25 years. We restructured state government in 1972. We adopted dozens of reform measures long forgotten and now taken for granted, and many of you veterans of the legislature remember that. We changed the method of collection of severance taxes, which brought billions of dollars for the benefit of the people, built most of the interstate system and half the bridges over the Mississippi River. We rebuilt or modernized all of the charity hospital facilities. During that period, attracted $26 billion worth of industrial development, half of all the industrial development in Louisiana since 1936. We averaged $4 million every day that I was in office in industrial development for more than 14 years. We created 75,000 new manufacturing jobs, 1/3 of all the new industrial jobs created since 1936. The first and second highest industrial investment years ever, and the only $3 billion plus year ever, occurred in 1992 and 93. We converted an $800 million unemployment compensation deficit to an $800 million surplus. And hopefully during this session we'll provide another reduction in the unemployment compensation rate for 85,000 businesses in Louisiana. We will pass and implement a new teacher evaluation plan, which has the support of all elements of the educational community, and will provide an effective evaluation system to restore public confidence in the teaching profession. We have repeatedly provided funds for parish governments to hard surface an increased number of miles of rural roads. We have helped bring the people of Louisiana out of the mud and dust of the 30s. We built and resurfaced almost every hard surface road in the state. We provided supplemental pay for firefighters, police officers, deputy sheriffs. We built and staffed the statewide modern VOTEC school system, which serves the needs of modern industry. We saved and constitutionally dedicated a $600 million fund, 8G, for the education of our children at all levels. It is the largest trust fund on a per capita basis for education of any state in the nation. We developed a spirit of understanding and cooperation between our races while other states suffered the agony of racial strife. We brought into our minority population into the mainstream of government in all branches and in all levels. We gave them an opportunity to share in the free enterprise system. We made them equal partners in our economic progress. We just passed a package to create 16,000 additional jobs in Louisiana in almost every section of the state. And in addition to that, we expect another 40,000 jobs from the operations of the riverboats and the casino, plus another 10,000 jobs from the operations of the new sports complex and the expansion of the convention center. We managed to keep a professional football team in New Orleans, attract a national basketball team, a Continental Basketball Association team, a professional baseball team, a professional volleyball team, and a Canadian football team. We must be doing something right. Last Thursday, Conoco announced a $750 million venture for the city of Lake Charles, creating 2,000 additional construction jobs. The industry beat goes on, and it is music to our ears, and I'm very glad to have played a part in it. On a per capita basis, taxes are still low. The rate of growth of personal income is above the national average. People are returning to Louisiana, and more people are working now than ever before. We have not completed the job. Additional improvements can and must be made, and there must be a continuing effort to improve the quality of life. But certainly, given the record of progress, we must be doing something right in spite of the negative publicity. I cannot and would not attempt to list for you all of the accomplishments that you and I together accomplished for this state and for our people. I do recognize there were failures and things which still need to be done, but I'm perfectly content to allow history to judge the total record of my administration. To some, an ounce of perception is worth a pound of performance. They appear to be doing much while accomplishing little, but they look good. In my case, I preferred an ounce of performance to a pound of perception. Maybe I didn't look good, but I got the job done, and I made things work. As LBJ said when speaking to his staff on the night before his retirement, there is nothing I would change of any consequence that I have done. You say, he sure is a hard-headed devil. Well, that is the way I saw it, and that is the way I see it now. But I have had the privilege of doing so many things that the average fellow can't do at all. Well, I did it my way, and for all the criticism by the do-gooders, the naysayers, the soothsayers, the newspaper columnists, the editorial writers, my unparalleled record of success at the polls is irrefutable proof that the people liked my way. Now I take this means to announce to you and the people of Louisiana I will not seek a fifth term. But let me emphasize, I am not going to be a candidate for re-election. I'm going to be governor until my term expires. Until then, I will be just as active, just as concerned, just as involved, and just as hardworking. The progress I have outlined will continue, and I will remain at the helm of the ship of state for the rest of my term. My eye shall be on the next century and not on the next election. Undoubtedly, most of you, and especially my critics, will speculate as to why. Imagined reasons for this decision will abound. There is only one reason, which I'll give you in a moment. However, any reason that you wish to suggest is all right with me, with these two exceptions. A, I could not win re-election. That's the same thing that most of my critics and opponents have said every time I have run, and it is certainly not a consideration here. Knowledgeable people acknowledge that given the number of candidates talking about running, I would easily end up in a runoff with a Republican, and I have no fears about the outcome of that. However, I have beaten Republicans 3 times before, and I no longer consider that to be a challenge. The other reason you may not use is that I'm afraid of being indicted. That is always a reason given by my critics. But certainly you must know that if I had any such fears, I would cling to the idea of running for re-election as my best defense. Whatever you may think of me, I'm really no fool, and I've been through that before, and I know where you're better off. If that were to happen, it would be far better for me to be a candidate and in the governor's office than to have taken myself out of consideration. So that is not a reason. While I'm on the subject, I would like to comment publicly about all that had been said and written about me. Regardless of what was said or written, I went by the rules and obeyed the rules. Armies of reporters and politically motivated prosecutors for 22 years have tried to show otherwise. They have failed because, in fact, I did abide by the rules. I filed copies of my income tax returns for public view. I filed an annual financial statement listing all of my properties, assets, and debts. My phone has been tapped. My conversation bugs. Efforts have been made to entrap me with bribes. Scores of people who have been in trouble themselves have been invited to turn on me and furnish any evidence of wrongdoing on my part in return for lighter sentences. I have endured it all, and I've survived it all. And I am comfortable in the knowledge of what I have done and not done. I'm also very comfortable in the relationships that I have with people who know me. Those whom I've represented as an attorney for more than 45 years, those with whom I've dealt in the political arena. Those who actually have an opportunity to judge and know me, know without exception, they will testify to my sincerity and honesty. Some people will repeat the contrary for the rest of their lives, but it will not alter the facts. You can say as many times as you want for the rest of your life that a sheep has 5 legs, but I guarantee you every time you count there'll only be 4. It is, of course, impossible to prove a universal negative, in this case that I have played by the rules. But since there is nothing better to go by, you will have to accept that as a fact because, A, I give you my word that it's a fact, and second, it is supported by the failures of the many people who tried for all these years to prove otherwise. As I've said before, you may assign whatever reasons you wish. And as far as I'm concerned, with the 2 exceptions indicated, you'll get no arguments out of me. Whatever you decide may be a reason, but not the reason. The reason is I want to do something else with the rest of my life. And as much as I love being governor, as much as I feel I've been of service and benefited the people of this state, and as much as I appreciate the honor you have bestowed upon me, I feel it is time for me to move on to something else. When you learn, and you will, what it is that I have in mind, you will understand. My friends will say, "That's great." And the rest of you will say, "How in the hell did he manage it?" I'm making this announcement now so that those of you who may be interested in running will have an ample time to prepare for the race, as I would like to see a large number of capable candidates run. We have done much, but much remains to be done. It will take dedication and hard work and the support of the next legislature to continue the progress we have started. I also make this announcement now because I know that next year things will be so much better that it will be far more difficult for me to voluntarily remove myself from contention. Finally, this decision is made in consultation with my wife and children, who agree with it, and with Raymond Laborde, Sid Moreland, and Andrew Martin, who do not agree with it, and no one else. I apologize to my friends who will learn of this through the public media rather than hearing it from me, but there are simply too many of you for me to have consulted with each of you privately and frankly, based upon what you have been telling me recently. And because I love you in this state so much, I was afraid you might talk me out of the decision. I did not want to afford you the opportunity. If I have offended any of you during my tenure as governor, it has been because of my anxiety and impatience in getting things done that I thought were needed for the people of this state. Because for those for whom I've had the most concern were without power, voiceless, and unable to fend for themselves, I was impatient. I have been the champion of the weak, the disabled, the uneducated, the unemployed, the unwashed, and as their champion, I was sometimes viewed as the adversary of the comfortable and satisfied. It was not that I loved them less, but that I loved them more. And because I felt that the ultimate test of our society is what we will do for those who do not have enough, rather than what we do for those who already have enough. I never moved to make their life better at the expense of anyone else, for we all benefited when the life of even one of us was enriched. In the quiet of the night, I've always been and always will be at peace with myself. I am proud of the fact that I live in a country where a person such as I could come from my humble beginnings and achieve the record of success which I have enjoyed. Because I have been so fortunate, I've tried to make it more comfortable and easier for others. And I believe that in spite of the criticism that I've endured and that continues today, history will confirm that it was fortunate and necessary that someone with my personality, attitude, and persistence serve you as governor during the last 2 decades. It takes a politician to get things done, and I have never been ashamed of the fact that I considered myself to be a politician in the sense that I was of the people and concerned about people. I will leave you as a politician, but hopefully history someday, reviewing my record, will elevate me to the status of statesman. I cannot claim that for myself, but I hope history will do it for me. Mark Antony, kneeling over the bloodied, slain body of Julius Caesar, told the restless crowd, "The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred in their bones. May it not be so with me."